Mr. Eck tasked the Bob Fantasies crew to collect information on the digital music sector and to compile the data for further analysis. The laboratory fulfills its writing duty at pace. This is Book 2, Chapter 3. In the previous episode, Maverick teamed up with Léo Patt, a longtime friend, an electroacoustic composer and minimal techno DJ. Together, they reopened their old acousmatic grimoires to reignite this discussion on how concrete practices in the composition of club tracks insufflates a new sense of materiology into DJ sets. This endless reflection fuels their practice and shapes this specific know-how, mainly used to counter-attack the conformist dynamics that Eck imposes on art objects. Today, Léo and Maverick present the second part of the third chapter. They met with members of the Romanian collective and label, Telega Recordings. They spoke with Ari, Broska, and Fine, aka Frenelai, for their approach of composing minimal tracks that follow this empirical framework for writing musical material. This interview is accompanied by an augmented hybrid DJ set, a fusion between electroacoustic and club worlds.
Beat time has come for us now.
Bob Fantasies.
Introducing Telega Recording.
So we actually started at the beginnings. We were just listeners, we were just dancers, you know. We were going at festivals, at parties, and we discovered this hidden layer of minimal, the Romanian side. Myself, I'm not ashamed of admitting it. I was on more hard techno, on completely other stuff, you know. Other guys like Ari, for example, she was lucky to be, she's more of a Puritan. She discovered the electronic side when we were already making events on the festival that we made. So she was not perverted by the hard techno stuff. But I'm not ashamed. I knew every lineup, and I knew everything from tech house to hard techno and 140 BPM. I knew them all. But at some point, it was honestly at Sunrise when I discovered the Romanian tent. At first I was a bit intrigued because all the cool foreigners were over there. They were like dancing chill, bro. You know, it's like, what the fuck, man? This is chill, man. And why everyone that's cool is here? It got me thinking. I didn't understand it at first, but then in the last day of the after, I really felt the bass lines, and I was like, man, this is like, you can actually have this kind of intensity without the need of, hard rhythm and stuff like that. And from that moment, I was with another good friend. We vouched, we're gonna go, man, and just follow these guys, all of them, all around the country. And we did. And one thing led to another, and Soulseek appeared. I mean, it didn't appear, it appeared in my life. It was already there. And I was trying to get a collection on Soulseek, as everyone else, and we got in touch with some guys in Bucharest somehow, some other listeners, some other dancers that nowadays they're an integral part of the group. a pitch and individ. So that's how we connected through music, just by loving the sound of it. We started making, when enlarging the group, started making some small events, and at some point we realized we should actually make this music as well, you know. And at some point we got into a cabin from a good friend of ours, from Horatio. This cabin was like, it's 1 hour and a half from Bucharest. It's in Telega.
In the small city.
It's a village actually. It's in the small village of Telega. A good friend of ours has this cabin. We got there, and we just exchanged the knowledge. Some of the guys knew already how to make music. Some of us, like me, we were noobs, but we exchanged the knowledge, and we got into making collabs. And we got into making collabs of 3 or even 4 guys at the same time, and we realized we have something here, because we can actually work together really good. And it kind of remained a tradition. We started going there 2 times, sometimes 3 times per year, and we kind of built around it. We made a Telegram group, and as the scene kind of, unfortunately, not died off but dimmed off, the events started, the public events at least, were not as good anymore, but we remained somehow in love with that old sound, and we decided to spend more time into making them, and dedicate our time to only 1 event per year, on which got into making collabs of 3 or even 4 guys at the same time, and we realized we have something here, because we can actually work together really good. And it kind of remained a tradition. We started going there 2 times, sometimes 3 times per year, and we kind of built around it. We made a Telegram group, and as the scene kind of, unfortunately, not died off but dimmed off, the events started, the public events at least, were not as good anymore, but we remained somehow in love with that old sound, and we decided to spend more time into making them, and dedicate our time to only 1 event per year, on which we pour every bit of energy and soul into it, and make it the greatest that we can, so we can play the music that we create all year, you know. So in a nutshell, that's how we got to where we are. But in the last years, it feels like it's more of a living organism rather than it was a few years before we started doing a lot more stuff. But at the core of it, I think it's friendship. And yeah, that would be it.
that's another topic we can maybe go into. Yeah, because why Maverick was interested by my way of seeing music is because we shared few years doing electroacoustic music composition at the conservatory here in Belgium. And so I finished last year my master degree there, and he did Furia as well. And we were friends before that, and we had a lot of discussions, and every time talking about ways to implement field recordings, how to play with sound materials and to create narrative musical stories only with things you can record. And so getting out of the classical way of seeing melody and rhythm. And so that was like a fundamental way of seeing the club music in the way I'm doing it, to implement this electroacoustic type of vision. And so, yeah, it was the point. Because when I discovered your sound, it really touched me in that way. Like, okay, I think they understood something I already had in mind, and it's quite contemporary in a way to see music that way, because it's not like the first thing that people think about in music. They always talk about melody and a specific rhythm. Your way of doing it is the way I'm thinking this, and we are people coming from different experimental type of sound and stuff, and we love club as well. We love dance music and getting lost into the sound, and so this cross is for me like an interesting future in a way of composing and in a way of just creating, doing music and experimenting.
About like what Leo was saying, maybe your conception of doing music, do you use like recording, do you use like synthesis, how do you proceed with your music making process? Like I think I'm really interested in knowing that.
There is a blend of everything, you know.
Yeah, we're very hybrid in this way. We use field recordings. I think at the first Telega that I was, we took the recorder out in the nature. We just had a trip, and we started like we took some axes and all sort of stuff that we found, and we just hit logs. We went to this old abandoned jail over there in Telega and just threw rocks and all sorts of things just to get sounds. And I think, yeah, we just recorded, and then when we got back into the cabin, as I think that's why the Digitact itself is such a used to loved tool amongst our group. I think almost everyone has a Digitact, either one or two, and it's because it's a great sampler. And we take samples from nature or organic samples that we find online, and we put it through a sampler and slice it and use it in so many different ways, or directly in Ableton, because you can do that of course too, and try to be as creative as possible with one sample and get the most out of it. For example, in recording, after we do a nice sound, even if we put effects and stuff on it, you can, I don't know, take off the warp and make it shorter or longer, add some other sort of stuff of effects, and it's so I know it's so cool to find a hidden sound somehow from other stuff. You know, you started with this, and you just sample the duck, and it ends up being this crazy granular texture. You know, it's amazing.
Yeah. I think happy accidents.
Yeah, exactly.
Happy accidents. Yeah.
That's a lovely term I use every day. But I mean, yeah.
I think it's important to experiment a lot in this genre. It's not a genre where you like create music by some rules, you know, like for example, playing a guitar or something, you need to know music theory, right? Here you don't need to know anything, you just have to be curious. That's my take on the music I make and DJing as well. I just have to be curious and see what happens if I turn this knob, you know, and if I use this sound, or I don't know, pitch it up, pitch it down. You just don't have to be like, yeah, you have to be like open-minded and have okay, let's see how this goes, where this is gonna take me, you know?
For us, it's a play by do by ear sort of a process, you know. Of course, we have some from the group that actually have a musical background. I think Trusk has had a rock band. He knows to play guitar very well. Horacio knows the violin, but not all of us are musicians at the core. We are just curious people, as Broska said, and we learned just by doing. We do synthesis as well. We have some modulars as well, but we don't go into it like, okay, I have to use this or that. Sometimes I just use the PC and samples, and that's totally fine as well. Whatever crosses my mind, you know. And I think that's, for me at least, I can get bored that way, because we're not stuck into we have to use this or that or no everything, you know.
On a recipe.
It's not a given recipe. There are some preferences that I've noticed throughout the years, like when we start, at least when we start making together, we don't put out the heavy sounds first. So we usually avoid putting the kick or a main kick to begin with, or a clap or a main hat. We avoid them. We just put them.
We begin with a clap, so.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe we have some placeholders, so you know the groove, like a small, very dim rim shot there. But we usually start with textures, small percussions, bass, but with the subs, of course, because they're not that overwhelming, you know, and build somehow the groove, and somehow the groove, like at some point it will show up to you. It will show up from the little sounds that you put, this little percussion and with this little texture that somehow is melodic, but it's not really. And then everything comes together, and then it calls for the kick. It has to be there, because that's what we try to. At some point, we're like, come on, man, put that fucking kick. Just put this. And then you put it in his lap, so when he's, oh yeah, baby, it's love so fucking well, you know.
sometimes it's not really the source material, you know, that it's kind of acoustic. You can also do that from using a bunch of effects in Ableton or whatever, if you have hardware gear. You know, there's like I love using filters for that. Filters with resonances, then run them maybe through a convolution reverb, give them some space, and some phasers, flanglers, you know, and you can really get a sort of organic-ish sound, you know, out of all that. And also if you involve a little bit of noise, you know, behind that sound, it can give it a sort of a depth, you know, that stands out like I don't know, something recorded in nature, for example. You can make water sounds from using filters with resonances.
So it can be a way to create a chaotic nature even with an electronic sound.
Yeah, a virtual nature.
So you change static nature of electronic by creating a bit of chaos and randomization to sounds like a natural sound.
Yeah, I have this thing. I love to do that a lot of times on tracks.
Okay.
They know me for always doing this type of brusque sounds, you know, modulating filters and going with resonance. I love that. So it's like a contrast, you know. I love to have ugly sounding things on the background in contrast with something beautiful in the track, maybe the sample, you know. And that, in my opinion, gives character to the sound, to the track itself, you know, gives it a bit of something spicy, you know, as Ricardo Villalobos does. I mean, if you study his tracks, you will see a lot of that ugly aesthetic, you know.
Needless to say, we go a lot into sound processing. I'm guilty of that myself. Ari too, everyone mostly in Telega we go. Sometimes it's a blessing and a curse, because you end up with this huge chain of effects, and from when you group it and turn it off, you can't believe it's like this simple sound, and you turn it on and it's wow, I can't believe I got to these things. Other times we just don't know when to stop and when to just move to another sound, because this one is not maybe is not working out, you know. I often, sometimes I'm like, man, I think I spent a bit too much on this, you know. Maybe try another source, try something else, because it's not going to the direction that
you're not gonna make it happen.
Yeah, but
and it takes you longer. Usually, if we're around, we let you know. We let each other know. I think it's been enough. But if you're alone, you get lost and there's nobody to tell you. That's an issue.
But you also have to trust the process, you know. There is this side and that side. You have to trust the process and be faithful that you're gonna get somewhere.
Yeah, but you can leave it and for later, because it seems that now is not the moment.
It has to be now. It has to be now.
Yeah, it's interesting here. Do you work with like resampling? You fix everything, you bounce, and then you come back and chunk stuff and rework with your thing that is like crap but works well in another context?
Yes, we often do that. I think Ari does that the most from us, right? She often reuses the same same organic sample, because
I feel that's how you create your own sound, and that's how people can tell that I'm on the track, and I like the song. I worked for it, you know, so might as well use it again.
Yeah.
And sometimes I make little changes to fit the new track that I'm working on. Sometimes I just leave it as it is. And I feel like it's way easier to start when you're starting something new if you have a few of your older sounds to pull in. It helps you out if you don't have any ideas.
That's how you start a project generally?
Depends. It depends.
Yeah, it's not a fixed recipe, right?
It's not a fixed recipe.
This new version of Ableton, I don't know if you guys noticed, but it has stem separation as well. It's quite.
Yeah, actually, for the episode, we did like sound creation with an interview with AA Voices. You'll hear it later. And he told me about it. I was like, fuck.
Leo doesn't know that, but I used one of his tracks.
You did it.
It's so good. Because you can extract
it's a revolution,
stuff,
man.
but AI is not like the cleanest.
Yeah, it's not the
You'll
cleanest.
get-
It has a texture.
Yes, and you'll get artifacts and like a bit like I was a bit obsessed with glitch music like Alvanoto, Ikeda and stuff, and you get a bit like those artifact, ether, noise and stuff.
Aliasing.
Yeah,
So,
aliasing, exactly.
I have to download it. I'm still on the 12.2. I think it's on the 12.3, right? It's really the last one.
Yeah.
So you use that?
Did you try it?
It's really nice now if you're inspired by a track to just put it out there and separate them, get the textures, get the voices, and resample that the hell out of it. It's a very good start, the way to start a new track, and if you process it enough, it's completely something new.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, specifically for your own tracks, if you lost some projects, as it happens, sometimes you just lost the projects of all the things you really loved, and maybe it's a way to, oh fuck, I love this part, but I don't know where is it.
Yeah.
On my PC, just
AI
try
saved
it,
us.
and maybe it's not good. Maybe I will.
Or if you want to just remove the vocals from a track,
We don't know.
You don't like vocals.
or some other shit that you don't like, just to play it, just remove that, put it on the stick, and that's totally fine too.
So you tried it? You tried to use it creatively and to fuck around with stem separation?
Yeah. I use that mostly on beats because I also make beats, hip-hop instrumentals. And I tend to get maybe drums, some parts of drums or the melody, and then I can put it in a sampler and then chop it up and get something completely different out of it. And I recommend using it. I recommend getting the last. It's really good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's.
Maybe we can drift to. I think I want to talk about like DJing.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's go into DJing.
What's your? I think general question, but what's your conception of? Because the composition of tracks, it's a little form. You do something that is like short in terms of length, and it's in the studio, not spontaneous. And then there is the bigger form, the lengthy one, and you have to be in a more live setting. So what's your conception of those two different moments? Like studio, is the studio influencing the DJ set? Extra. What's your take on this?
It does influence, but now it depends on the sort of track that we're making, because we also do tools, of course, and they're an integral part. Is how the Romanian minimal started to begin with. I didn't understood it at first exactly because there were too many tools. I was like, the hell is this music, man? 10 minutes of the same shit. It just has one break and that's it. But then I got to listen to the great ones like Barak, like Cesar, and I was like, okay, they're not playing 2 tracks, they're playing 3 tracks, or they're playing 4 tracks at the same time. And that's where it hit me. The music is simple, but if you listen to it, it's actually layered, and the DJ sets are layered upon layers, so it's just another level. It's just another crazy level, and like, man, okay, I see where this is going. So we started naturally with 2 decks, but gradually we started playing with 3, with 4, and now our whole idea when we're making, when we're producing, we're like, this okay, we just leave this as a tool, leave space for these other ones, and the selection itself is like, we have some percussions with some tracks that are more heavy on percussions, and we have some tracks that have the bass lines, but they don't, they're not so intrusive on percussions or on atmospheres. We have some other tracks that are more,
evolving and melodic and
exactly. And the whole idea when you play is like to don't overdo, because if you start playing only heavy bass lines and that shit, it will be, it's like it has no soul. But if you play too stuff that's too like conflicting melodics and stuff like that, is like it's not gonna sound good. So the whole selection on the spot has to be, it has to complement each other, you know.
Sort of a game of focus, right? So I take a little bit from you here, but I give you there, but you don't notice that I took away from you because I gave you something else, and it just goes on and on, so that you don't notice, but they're constantly evolving, and we try to apply the same thing to DJing.
This term of sweet spot, when you play with 3 decks or like whatever, and you find this perfect point where everyone it just goes on, it's going with the flow, and you could just leave it for 2-3 minutes, there is a loop here, a track is still continuing here, and you're confident with it. Okay, so you let the music happen, and I think, in my opinion, it's the best feeling when you play as DJs. You're not supposed to manipulate everything to create effects and whatever, but it's really a musical approach, like a composer approach to do DJing. So it's across, you, I think, really understand when you create music as well, because you have the ear and your musicality and the sense of the rhythm of how create, as you say, the atmo going here, and I like the bass, but at the point, it's just the sweet spot.
Yeah, you're just like the guy that is arranging the music, you know, because you have all those layers. For example, you have like 4 tracks, you know, and you're just building another song with those layers.
And it's really interesting because you can get to play the same tracks over and over, but no one notices because it's so combined. So the hard cues, yeah, well, it's not news. They had it on 2000s as well, but I didn't like the workflow. But on the 3000s, at first I discovered the beat skip feature, like you can skip now 64 bars, and that's like, oh, okay. I discovered it at a point where I was completely against breaks. I like no breaks. It has to be constant pounding the fucker. But then I realized I'm not going into the right direction. It has to be some contrast in between, and I discovered them like, okay, but how about if I decide when the breaks come, or when the suffix comes, or when I get into that, when I want the
fuller part of the song, or
yeah, exactly. So we started working with them more in depth, and now we have in our repertoire a lot of tracks from other artists, of course, that we like only pull out the end of it, or start with the end and then go to the beginning, and then maybe just use the end or whatever. It's like a very, very powerful tool to develop your repertoire and just use the parts that you actually like, and at the moment, because that's the thing. At the moment that you want, you need, that you really intend to use them.
Yeah, as Alex said.
It's like you're in full control of the DJ set and the songs as well. It's not like I'm gonna play and press play, and then after a few minutes the song is gonna end. No, you have full control of it. You can just press on one button and it will already let you to a loop that you created in record box, that you carefully selected, and you can use that and juggle to the new tracks.
Like you can have like 3 bars loop that sound like exactly in that break where it's like just a texture, and from that texture you can fuck it up, just play stop, and the CDJ will go crazy, and you can play it again and then go to the full bars, and like, what happened, how did that happen, or you can just skip the cringer parts. Like I have this edit from Ricardo that is really cringe, but I played only the ending where it fucks up the all the effects, and it's really, really nice. But I would have never played that track if I didn't have hot cues to mess around and skip the cringer parts.
Okay, yeah, so as Broska said, it's your tool to arrange and orchestrate everything, like...
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And if you use that in combination with Ableton stem separation, it's like you can basically take only the parts that you like, because usually most of the tracks have something that you like, right? You can't have the same approach like when you're making music. When you're making, of course, you don't want to be bad. Your mix has to be clean. You'll get it as clean as possible. But when you're playing, that's not the point. When you're playing, you're not playing necessarily on high-end speakers. Even, I don't know, the function ones are not. They're not high-end speakers. They are speakers that colorate a lot. They are speakers made for a party. They will. They are low resolution speakers, and you have to get like big with them and have fun. It's not a competition to be as clean as possible, because if you are too predictable, like the groove itself, both on the production side and on the DJing side, like the definition of a groove, it's like it's something that's predictable, but not. It has to be predictable because it's the groove, it's the rhythm, right? But at the same time, no one wants to know one step ahead all the time. They want to be surprised as well. So it's like this play where you hit you're hidden right under the nose, and then you unmask it, but be somehow spontaneous, right? So that's the sweet spot.